الذين كفروا إلى جهنم زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها فتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم رسل منكم يتلون عليكم آيات ربكم وينذرونكم لقاء يومكم هذا قالوا بلى ولكن حقت كلمة العذاب على الكافرين. وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين وقالوا الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين. وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك وقالت هيت لك وقالت هيت لك وقالت هيت لك وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك قال معاذ الله. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's your brother Mufasa Mujadid or Hama'a, and I just want to give a brief response. This will be a brief one, right quick. I was trying to get the video up earlier. A lot of things are going on. So in response to Abu Ibrahim's racist remarks, as you know, it's in the same kind of white supremacy. He made a statement that said, "Don't try to be black," and I'm gonna do the context real quick. So here's some things. We all know that there's a drug problem. We all know there's gang banging and issues that affect the black community, and it is starting to spread to other communities, of people. I think it was sometime in the 80s, 90s, around that time. A lot of black neighborhoods were crying out for help with the drug problem, and everybody just put a blind eye to it. But now that it's touching communities everywhere, now people are in panic, and so what has become popular is to put that on the African American community, rap, hip hop. And no doubt, the Hollywood industry has taken over, rap, and has pushed a negative image in the world. But now what has happened is now when they see these issues of drugs and things of that nature spread in the community, automatically these white racists, whether they be Arab, East Asian, or whatever it may be, they have the same mentality of the white Arab or the white Aryan Mason who's in power right now, to blame it on the black community. Okay. And so this guy's statements is no different than all the other white racist statements. One of the statements that he made real quick was, he made a speech, what you call a justification speech, okay, a justification video, where he states, well, I didn't really mean to say, don't try to be black. I was talking to an Asian community predominantly, and I said, don't try to be black. And before that, we was talking about the drugs and the gangs and stuff like that. As if, blacks are the inventors of gangs, or blacks are the inventors of the major exporters of drugs, so he had to do a cleanup because this guy's he's a speaker. He's a speaker that's fairly known in the Muslim world, and so he had to do a cleanup duty. So he tried to come out on his justification speech, stating that he's not too proud and he's not too arrogant to admit when he has made a statement that is wrong. And he tried to use that falsehood tactic of cover up. Here's the thing. The Quran is very clear. See, people say what is in their heart, even when they're mad. Okay. Now, it may not be to the degree or intensity of what they're saying, but it's nevertheless still inside their mind, and it's still inside their heart. I remember an argument that I got into with my auntie a while ago. It was a while ago. right? And it's something that was in my mind that been there for, a few years, and, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings, and, eventually, she kept nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging until one day, I just said what it was inside my heart and inside my mind. I said it in anger. I didn't mean to say it in the ferocious, the viciousness in the way that I said it, but still, nevertheless, it was something in my heart and it was something in my mind which I released. Okay, we know inside the Quran. Now, this person came up and he said, I apologize, and that's it. And of course, yes, I was blocked when I hit him up about that on his page. I was blocked for saying something, and I expect that, because he has the same mentality of white racists who think that they can come up with a fake apology, okay, on a people who's been terrorized and victimized for hundreds of years, okay, and he can make this asinine statement and then just say, "Oh, I apologize," it was said out of, but you guys are playing the victim role so much, I want to remind anybody that is Muslim and non-Muslim out there, but particularly Muslim who are black, that the Quran is very clear. It says that rank, in one ayat it says that rank hatred has appeared from their mouths, with their hearts concealed is much worse. Again, the Quran says rank hatred has appeared from their mouth, with their hearts concealed is much worse. Now, when you view that ayat, the context of that ayat, and in my other video that I'm gonna do about this, because when I'm a little bit more upbeat and not as tired, we have to understand the psychological understanding of that ayat. That is a general ayat, although the context was talking about the mushrikeen who became kafirin by rejecting the message. And, they were plotting and planning, and they spoke against the messenger, and they spoke against Islam, and they were plotting and planning, so rank hatred came from their mouths about the message, but what their hearts contained was a lot worse than what they were saying. Well, we got to understand that is generally the psychological makeup of people. First, what comes about their mouth is what is in their heart, unless they're faking, right? And in this context, the man was not faking, because he was in the middle of a whole crowd, and he said it, we are not black, don't try to be black. Okay. And he said this to an Asian community, a Southeast Asian community, I think, an Arab community or whatever. And he tried to use that in his justification speak as a form of justification. I was just in a Asian community predominantly, and I said this. So you're giving them that mentality that blacks are the blame of the drugs in the UK. Blacks are the blame of all, of all this stuff going on. But you don't never talk about the people that flew the drugs in, flooded America, and the drug problem that hit here first in our communities. And when we was crying out to the world, nobody would listen to us. When we saying they're putting stuff in our community, no one would listen to us. But now that it's hitting all these different communities, now you want to use us, our image, as the scapegoat. Oh, no. You see, there's a statement. It says that there's people in the ship. And the ship has a top part and a low part. And it says the people on the top part of the ship, they hear somebody on the bottom of the ship putting a hole in the ship. Now, if the people on the top of the ship don't go down to the people on the lower part of the ship and stop them from putting a hole in the ship, everyone's going to drown. That's the same thing with the drugs and the oppression that's being put upon on our people. Okay, no one was caring about that. Oh, that's a black problem, that gang problem. Blah, 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 let them kill themselves. Whatever, has nothing to do. As long as my kid get to college, as long as my kid, gets whatever. No one cared about that. But now, you see, now You didn't come to, go to people that was on the bottom of the ship, that was, had holes in their community, that was getting poked in there by these oppressors. You didn't come to that. You didn't care nothing about that. Your mind didn't even focus on that. Okay. So now that the water from that damage is spreading everywhere in all communities and in this big old ship, now you want to cry and complain that the ship is going down. The world is going, the people are reaping what they have sown, whether it be by your negligence or whether it be by, you ignore the problem, and now it became popular. And unfortunately, our image was put out there. But we're not the pushers of that. We're not the major ones that benefit and profit off of it. And we're not the ones that put it out there like that, because hip hop originally was nothing to do with drugs. It was about talking about the conditions that we lived in. That was the whole purpose of hip hop. So I'm sick and tired of people trying to put the scapegoat on hip hop. The perversion of hip hop is what the problem is. And the perversion of hip hop, it was done by Hollywood. Okay. Negligence on other people's parts, and not caring about what was going on with the oppression going on there. Like, a lot of Muslims today, they care about what's going on in Palestine. They, people didn't on that same type of fervor didn't care about what was going on in the black communities in the 80s, in the 70s, in the early 90s. They didn't care nothing about that. But now it's an epidemic. Everybody you're seeing your young want to copy that. You see? So Abu Ibrahim made the statement. One of his statements was that what he meant to say, instead of don't try to be black, what he meant to say basically is don't be like these people. Don't be like these people. Don't be like the major entertainers and actors, and basically what it's saying. Don't be like them. Don't be like Hollywood. Don't be like, and he's saying all these things. But what the problem is he's linking, in the way that he was saying it, he was linking it back to black people again. In the way that he said it, it was no clarification. It was no cleanup. It was no nothing of that sort. So I don't know exactly. He should have just been quiet. He did worse by trying to clarify, and I expect that from, some people's like, you're this and that. Listen, I expect all of that from these type of people, because number one, it's already hard that they have not went through the same social experience. Like he tried to say something to the effect, oh, you're not the only people that went through racist. Black people try to play the victim. Let me explain some to a lot of you out there when you say something like that. Okay. Let me explain something to you. You may have your people at one point in time for a second, being indentured servants, but you still retain your language. Now tell me something. What does Quran say about language? Verily in the signs, there are signs in your language and in your color for those who reflect. Okay. So if the Quran is saying that verily in your language, in your colors, there are signs for those who reflect, do you possibly think that maybe when a people were beaten and terrorized to the point where their language was snatched from them, and not only that, but they was given their conqueror's language to speak, and every day they wake up speaking that language, they have to look at the conqueror's children speaking their language, and then themselves, they speak the same language. And then they go look at other Africans or people of melanated color, and they see these other people have their own languages. And they sit there, look at them wondering, which one of them languages is mine? Do you understand the psychological effect that could have from generation to generation? That's an identity issue. You wonder like, oh, why they walking around and they got some type of anger on it. You just don't understand. Speaking this language is a constant reminder. There's no such thing called the past when it's still present. So to Abu Ibrahim, when he said that, oh, black people play the victimization role, and this was supposed to be part of his clarification speech of why he said, don't try to be black. And what he actually meant was, don't be like the Hollywood actors, don't be like, the drug dealers. Don't be like, the pushers. Don't be like, he still is linking it to black people and the black image. But unfortunately, these people that make these comments, they have never went through the social aspect that our people have went through. Okay. They have never took time to study, understand, okay, hold on. Hip hop was not about drugs. Hip hop was not about gangbanging. Hip hop was not about none of that. Hip hop was a way and an expression to talk about the things that people were going through in the place that they lived at. That's all hip hop was about. And the industry took that. White racist Jews took that. And they perverted it and twisted it and pushed it to the world. Okay. So what I'm saying is, at one point in time, when our communities, black communities, were going through this in the 80s, no one cared. No one gave a damn. Oh, that's just something going on with them people over there. You didn't hear no Pakistanis. You didn't hear no Southeast Asians. You didn't hear no Arabs, really. You didn't hear none of these people talking about this issue, really, except here and there for for clout. Okay, they're talking on the international world stage, and the 1970s. There's some type of revolution or going on somewhere, and they'll bring up America's oppression upon its black citizens, and then that's it. Okay, like I said, there's a saying, and it's some people related to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some people say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Either way you say it, it's all the same to me. That, and I'm gonna say it again, that there's people in the ship, and there's people on the top of the ship and in the lower part of the ship. Now, if the people on the top part of the ship don't come down and stop the people on the bottom of the ship from putting a hole in the ship, they'll all drown. See, you people in the world are reaping what you have sown, whether it be by your negligence, you're not caring about, what those on the bottom of the ship of these societies were going through in the 80s and 70s. You didn't care nothing about it. But now that your kids in your country has this image plastered around and is going by it, now all of a sudden you want to care about it. Now all of a sudden you want to talk about it. And now you have the audacity to turn around and say, it's black people. Don't try to be like black people. No, you're reaping what you have sown. You're reaping what you were negligent to. That's why your doers is not being answered. That's why the problem is continuously festering and growing. You have not solved nor paid attention to the first cause. You're not going to get nowhere. As bad as that is, you're not really going to get nowhere until you wake up to solve the first cause. You can't skip over us and think you're going to fix it over there. It's not going to happen, because we were the first experiment. This is not a pity me or nothing like that. This is just a fact. But I want you to stop trying to say, oh, the black people that listen, you have never went through what we have went through, and you have never went through what we're going through. The ones that be talking, you still have your language. With what all you went through, you still have your language. Language is culture. Culture is identity. Identity messes with the person's personality. Right now, as eloquent or whatever you want to call it, I'm not even be eloquent to you. These words I'm speaking, it's not my language. How you think it feels to some people they master another person's language? Even through rebellion, though, we might take it and turn into new meanings and, different slangs. And we know it's not our language, though. It is a form of rebellion with us. We in artistry that we try to change some of the meanings and we give it slang and we give it this and we give it that. It's part of the culture of rebellion. It's part of the culture of hip hop. It's part of the culture of no, I will not accept what you will put up on me 100% on this level that I can resist. Whether those consciously know that they're doing it or unconsciously don't know that they're doing it. So Abu Ibrahim is no different than a Klansman. Abu Ibrahim is no different than a skinhead. Abu Ibrahim is no different than any type of white nationalist who doesn't recognize the oppression that they are part of. Fits right inside there. The same comments he said is the same comments that you'll hear them say. It's like, their master. You don't see their master, but they have the same voice. They say the same words. And they're in different parts of the world. He said, yeah, I'm not taking away from what black people went through, but when they say the but, that shows they don't understand and comprehend all the way. And they don't want to understand and comprehend all the way. But they play the victim role. It's not a role. It's not a role. It's just, it's enough is enough. Like the ayat says inside the Quran, rank hatred has appeared from their mouth. What the hearts conceal is worse. So I don't accept your apology. The Prophet ﷺ said a believer thinks about what he says before he says it. But the munafiq, hypocrite, he says what was on his tongue. And of course, thereafter that, he's full of regrets or maybe, that's a part that I'm saying. I don't say that the Prophet said that, but I'm saying it seems that the person acts like that person is full of regrets or something. Right? So I just want you to know that he said what he meant to say. And there is no cleaning that up. A man, what is in your chest, what is in your mind, that it will come out your mouth. Now, you might not mean the intensity of it. Like I've argued with family members and I've said things that I wish that I never said in the way that I said it. But deep down, when you sit back and reflect, I meant it. I meant it. I meant what I said because that was already in my head before I said it. Even if a person makes fun of somebody and then they come back feeling bad about it later, they meant to say at that moment, they meant to say what they said. The later thought was, wow, how did that affect this person? Man, I feel bad. You're feeling bad maybe on the effect. Or you're feeling bad because this hurts your position. He's not feeling bad about the effect. The only effect he's worried about is that he's a popular speaker and that hurts his image. So he had to get up there and clean that up. And there is no cleaning it up because Allah's laid out inside the Quran the psychological ways of a person. It's like when I get on here and I say the things that I say, some things I say in the way that I say it, I'm like, I shouldn't have said it like that. But I meant what I said. I might not say it exactly how I meant it, but I meant what I said. The gist of what I think I was meaning, it's my little early rant for right now. I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and but yeah, I don't think nobody's falling for that. So I will, inshallah, I think I'll be doing something on that in response. It'll probably be along the same lines as this, just less tired, you know. But assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't keep believing the hype. Just I don't even look to you know. Anyhow, assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar.